So I just finished watching The Last of Us episode 6, and I'm a little torn here, guys. I'm a little torn. Like, I literally just stopped watching it, and I don't know how to feel, guys. So I'm going to jump right in. So there's major spoilers ahead, but I want to play this clip of me reacting to the last few minutes of it because I think it really just stands to talk about how I actually feel. So let's roll the clip now. Okay, what? All right, that is definitely not... I mean, he lost a lot of blood, right? Okay, so there's a good chance that it's just the fact that he lost a lot of blood, he passed out. They better not have just fucking killed him. They better have not just fucking have killed him, because I haven't seen any other trailers here. I gotta roll up my sleeves for this one. I don't know how to feel about this episode. On one hand, this was another absolute banger episode. I really liked it from start to finish, but then the ending is just This felt like the Glenn Dumpster fake out in season 6 of The Walking Dead. Like, this is literally what this episode felt like towards the end, because look, to be completely honest with you, if you play the game, you know where the story goes and things like that. So, you know, Joel's probably fine. But the shows have deviated here and there. We know a big scene is eventually going to come with said character at some point. Without looking too far into the future, if you want to watch my video talking about that, you can watch it here. We know the stakes are high for Joel, if that makes any sense. That's all I'm going to say. But this felt just so cheap to do a fake out death sort of thing for him. Like, there's no way he died, because to be honest with you, the story, I don't want to get into too much spoilers, but this is game spoilers for The Last of Us Part 1. Joel is an integral part of the ending to this story. Like, what happens with Joel and what happens going forward with him doing what he does to save Ellie with the Fireflies later on in the story, it's integral. There's no way they're going to kill Joel here. But for right now, it absolutely feels like there's a high possibility that just happened. Because if you know, in The Last of Us Part 2, they developed Tommy as a character more. So, like, they could remix it for that. Not saying they are or they will. They could. But look, this is episode 6. We still have 3 more episodes to go, really, 7, 8, and 9. So I don't know what they're going to do, but the fact that they did a cliffhanger at the end is just an absolute cheap out for me. And look, it's not as bad as some other stuff, but it's very disappointing to see. I'm going to be completely honest with you, especially when up until this point, the rest of the show has been so good. Even this episode, man, and we're going to talk about it in this video. I don't want to make this whole video about that ending, but my God, this was a fantastic episode. Everything. This show was just straight up flexing. We're going to get into that in a minute, but I just want to finish this off by saying there's no way they killed Joel, because if they did, that would be ridiculous, and I would lose a lot of respect for the show if they did it in that way. Now, then again, the way they did it in the game is also, you know, disrespectful, I guess, too, to some extent, but the way they did it here, I hope this is not how it ends for him, because there is an integral story there to be told. I hope they don't mess it up. But I just, overall, even if he survives, which they are inevitably going to do, I don't like the fact that they left it on a cliffhanger. I mean, his wound wasn't strong enough to really be morally, like, a mortal wound or anything like that, but he did lose a lot of blood. You don't know how long they traveled. And I get it. It was just to set up that Ellie doesn't want to be alone and all of that stuff, but you don't need to do a cliffhanger. Just show a little bit more. You don't need that. And I know it pulls fans in for you to actually, like, not show what happens next, and the whole point of a cliffhanger is so people could come back for the next episode. But come on, like, that one really pissed me off. But now that I'm a little done being heated, I'm going to roll my sleeves back down, because it actually is a little bit cold. I'm going to talk about the rest of the episode, because I actually really did like the rest of the episode. So we start out, first off, we get a 3-month later time skip, which is great to see. I mean, I have no problem seeing a time skip the way they introduced it was pretty cool. It was them on the run. You could tell Ellie and Joel were a little more comfortable with one another and all of that stuff. So I really liked all that. I thought it was really cool and good to see. And then we inevitably get to the scene where, you know, they're overrun by a group of survivors and they do the dog sniff thing. Of course, Joel's worried that it's going to be for Ellie, but yada yada, doesn't really matter. Anyway, they go in and they reunite. Joel and Tommy reunite, and that was great to see. And one of the biggest highlights of this episode was the acting. And now I'm going to be honest with you. I know it's Pedro Pascal, but I don't know the actor who plays Tommy's name. I'm not sure what it is. But they just, oh my God, they killed it. The dialogue that they shared in the beginning when they were drinking in the bar and then later on in the shoe shop, it was just so good. It was so heartfelt. It was fantastic. It was, I think so far out of the whole series, it was definitely Pedro Pascal's best work yet. But just overall, the dialogue was fantastic. The shots you got of Ellie and you could tell where they were going. I said it in my reaction, which I will have a full video out for. I don't know where I'm going to post it yet, but I do have it. I was thinking maybe Patreon. I don't know. But anyway, I did a full reaction to it. And one of my first thoughts as I was watching it was kind of like, okay, so obviously this show is moving at a pretty fast pace. But the way that Joel broke down and cried about how he feels about Ellie and all of that stuff, when it was first happening, I was like, they're rushing this a little too much. But then Joel, they explain themselves, the writers and Joel, they explain themselves by basically just summing it up in a way that is completely understandable. And I can't remember off the top of my head exactly what it was, but it was something about like how he was scared and he was getting older and he was worried that he was going to get her killed and all of that stuff. That you completely get that. And I thought for a minute, maybe I just lost my connection to my mic. I got scared for a sec, but so at first I was concerned is what I'm getting at. I was a little concerned that they were rushing him caring too much about Ellie. And then the way he explained it actually worked really well. And I do really like the direction that they went in with that. So I got comfortable with that. And then the dialogue that Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal shared in the bedroom was just fantastic. Like this is Joel and Ellie. And I mean, I know we've been saying that over the span of these reviews. I know we're 6 episodes in, but they are just continuing to wow me. Wow and wow and wow. Like every time. Their scene was so charged. It was so great. Her finally addressing the fact that she knows about Sarah was very interesting. And just that whole dynamic of her learning about Sarah. Very interesting to see. It was really cool. And Bella Ramsey just absolutely killed it yet again. This is just another hands down amazing performance. Another thing of note that I wanted to say, really small thing, was, and I know we saw this in the first episode, but Tommy sounds exactly like the video game's voice actor for Tommy. Like, they're the same. It's absolutely crazy. Even though they're different actors, it's crazy to see how similar the two of them actually are. Truly just awesome and insane. That stood out to me that was really crazy is, man, this show is just straight up flexing. Like, without a doubt, this show is flexing. You could tell that this has the highest budget out of any HBO show ever. Like, you could just see it. I don't know how they did some of these, if it was just practical on set in Wyoming or somewhere like that, but the set pieces were incredible. The shots they got through Wyoming were incredible. Everything here that they did was just so good. The whole episode in my reaction, I was just saying how much they're flexing. Like, every shot was awesome. It was gorgeous. And it's kind of like what I wish The Walking Dead could be. I always wanted The Walking Dead to be a show about like the wintertime, true survival and stuff like that. And I feel like we actually got a lot of that here because those winter shots were just so good, man. So on point. It was so great to see. And they really were flexing. And even the camp, which looks ripped straight out of the game, which is amazing to see. But even the camp, it's just done so differently and so well. Like, when I say differently, I don't mean to the game because it looks like it's ripped straight out of the game, but differently from other shows is what I'm saying. It looks real. It looks authentic. It looks great. You could tell where their money went. And then speaking of the ranch and all of that stuff, they did deviate a little bit here with Tommy and the way Joel like kicked him out of like their ride into Colorado and all that stuff. Like it was totally different here, but I did like how they did it. And again, I liked everything in this episode except for the last 2 minutes of it. And sometimes that's like the biggest deal, like the Super Bowl. I loved the entire game against the Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. Loved the whole game. Then the last 2-3 minutes of it, not a fan. Not a fan. Obviously, there was horrible decisions made, bad play calling. That's exactly what happened here. Horrible decisions were made, bad play calling. Cliffhangers are just no good, especially when it's one of your leads like that and you're going to do a fake out death scene with him. If it was a fake out death scene, which I hope to God it was, because the story that happens down the road from the game, so good with Joel. We need it. So I hope obviously this was a fake out, but the fact that I even have to say I hope it was a fake out, or the fact that I'm talking about a fake out at all, just speaks volumes. They should have never done that as a fake out. It actually really bothers me that they did. And yes, obviously it tunes me in to make me want to see the next episode, but at what cost, man? I don't like when shows do that. I know, look, again, I get it. It adds drama, it adds suspense, it makes people come back for more. I get it. I do. But I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm speaking as someone who's like, oh, I hope he isn't dead. But I'm also speaking as someone who's like, who's interested in writing and acting and all of those things. Like, I just don't think that's the right decision you can make. I really don't. I don't think it is. I'm disappointed in it, but everything else was so good. Everything besides the last 2 to 3 minutes, so good. And still, if my only complaint up to this point has been lack of violence, which they showed a little bit here, which I was okay with, but if my only complaint about the show overall is lack of violence and that cutscene or cliffhanger or whatever you call it, the show's still off to a good start. Like, it doesn't matter, even with the cliffhanger, but that just took it down a little bit of a peg, if I'm being completely honest. I'm not a fan of what they did there. I'm really not. Even if we get him right at the start next episode, I don't like it. Obviously, we're going to be getting a trailer and all that, so I'm sure we'll see Joel, so everything will be fine. But right now, they're leaving that suspense. I haven't seen a trailer or anything drop, and I just don't like that. I don't like the direction, but I'm rambling way too much about it. You could tell I'm frustrated. And yeah, I'd love to know what you think about that cliffhanger down in the comments. Can't wait to hear from you, to be completely honest. Can't wait to see what you have to say about that. I hated it. Just being honest with you, I absolutely hated it. I thought it was cheap, but I loved the whole episode. So it was like high, then quick shoot down low. I don't know. I would give this episode, if I could like rate it as a grade, I'd give it an A-, to be completely honest. And which is crazy because I'm saying how much I hate what they did, but you know, you lose points because of that. I still think it was a banger episode. It felt like a movie. It really did. It was just good. But I really want to hear what you have to say about it down in the comments down below. Very disappointed in the ending, but the rest of it was an absolute banger, just like the rest of every episode before it, really. So I'm not going to drop it too low, but it did take it down like a little bit of a notch because this show was at an A+, but obviously it can't stay there the whole time. So yeah, now it's an A-, I guess, whatever. No big deal. Okay. Anyway, with that out of the way, thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to give it a like rating, subscribe if you haven't already. I haven't figured it out yet, but I might be posting the full reaction to my Patreon. I'm not sure. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, but if not, thank you again so much for watching this video, and until the next one, I'll talk to you later. Peace out.